Hi, and welcome to Stimming and Stilettos with Dr. Tasha. And y'all, I am back. Yay! We have Joselyne here for part two. So I told you guys that she would be back, and she is back. So I did not lie.
Can't get rid of me that easy.
Listen, so let me tell you, I'm really glad that you are back. We did not get enough, we did not have enough time to do all the things. And so hopefully we can do all the things that we wanted to do. But I am having a day. Oh my God.
Well, let's just coach you. How about that? Why don't we do that?
I am having a I'm having I'm having a day.
What
I'm
happened?
having a day. Like so, and it's so funny is that I looked at my calendar today and I saw that today was the day that we were going to talk. And I was like, this is so like I just love it when these things happen because I've been feeling like people have just been trying to mess with me.
Well, I am the queen of unmessable withness, so talk to me.
I said, see, look at the universe working. Look at it. Um, but no, I've just been feeling like you know how when things are going well and there's just sort of like things kind of start creeping in and you're just like, wait, what is this? Wait, what is this? What is this? And it's just been a lot of little things that have been occurring where I have felt like the axis kind of shift just a little bit. And I've been trying to to not let it. And then somewhere along the lines, I said, well, no, maybe it needs to shift. Maybe I need to change my perspective. Maybe I need to look at things just instead of looking at things as being wrong or like this doesn't need to change, maybe it does need to change. And instead of being mad or angry or upset or like weird or like this is uncomfortable, just sort of like, okay, well, we're just sort of gonna go with it. Let's ride the curve. And that has actually helped and changed the perspective. But but of course, the the unexpectedness of it, the the unusualness of it has sort of left me feeling a little off kilter.
Well, I can tell you that one of the biggest things that messes with people in my 30 years of coaching people, plus, what I've discovered is when people relate to whatever's happening as if it shouldn't be.
Yeah.
And the minute you have a shouldn't in there, you're messable with because that lives in the world of reacting, not creating.
Ah, yeah.
So if you look at whatever happened, which I'm still not sure what happened because you kind of talked all around it, but I was like a little vague. I'm not quite sure. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you can share exactly what happened, but if you can, it would be probably really useful because then I could dismantle it with you. But if not, you tell me.
So, well, some of it has to do so there's a lot happening to me. So I've had a lot of health challenges, mainly with my weight and my back. So I had just got a really weird diagnosis as it relates to just my back, right? Had some sciatic nerve damage
Mm-hmm.
really early on, and it's just been an ongoing problem. And a couple months ago, went to see a chiropractor, and it's like the nerve is just sort of kind of hanging out there, just not getting better. Inflamed, well, inflamed, well, inflamed, well, and then really inflamed. And it's one of those things where it's like, well, what am I, so what am I doing? Right. I'm sitting in a chair most days, standing up, exercising, like not doing not doing anything, like I'm not like water sports, I'm not,
Well,
you know
I
what I mean?
mean, but what are you doing or it
So,
could also be what you're not doing.
so it was a combination of things. And so it was one of those things where I was getting really frustrated with like my body, like essentially myself. And so and for a while I was getting better. I was like, I was walking, I'm doing all the things, I'm losing weight. And then I had this one day, like last week, where I could barely sit or stand. The pain was so bad. And it was just, I just got so frustrated because I'm like, I'm so tired of being in pain, of living in pain. Like, what is this? Like, I was literally like, I was not designed for this. This is not
Well,
going to
but
be
that's
my
right
life.
there.
Mhm.
That's the flip. That's this shouldn't be. I
Right,
shouldn't be in pain. This shouldn't be happening. And the
right.
moment you're in a shouldn't be, you have no power. All you
Mm,
have is force to resist what's happening because it shouldn't be, which will definitely mess with you.
yeah. And it did. It was so, I was in a place where I was almost like I can't, it felt like I couldn't move
Hmm.
at all. And and when I'm in those places, it was like I can't. There's nothing I can do. It felt like there was nothing I could do.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Well, but maybe rest.
well, yeah, there's that too. But so of course I had to work my way through that. To the to a different space where it was just like, well, this is a temporary situation. This is not your life, right? This is a temporary situation. This is how you feel today. This is
Which
a
is your
risk,
life.
right? Today, right?
Yes,
But
exactly.
but in that moment, it's like it felt like a lifetime, right?
Yes, I get
So
it.
so it was like one of those things where, and then of course well, for me, knowing me, I feel like I carry the story like to its end. So it's like I was like, I'm gonna be this old lady and
Oh
like
yeah, totally.
all the way. And it's just like, man, this is not that, right? This is this moment right now. You can live to the next moment.
Well,
And
you will live until the next moment until you don't. But the point being that playing out that story till the end is not what's real now. And anytime you're dealing with something that's not real, the potential to be messable with is greater.
yeah.
So the story or the drama, as you called it in the beginning, is created in language. So in your words, even if you don't say it out loud, you're creating it in your thoughts and language. Oh, I'm going to be this old woman. I'm not going to be able to move and da, da, da. And that whole thing is being created in language. Everything that's created in language is malleable.
Mhm.
It's transformable because it's not like this lipstick. You can't transform this lipstick. I mean, I could change it or take the top off or whatever, but that's not transformation. You can transform anything that lives in language.
Okay. I like that. I don't think I've heard it said quite that way before. It's the whole, what is it? Sticks and stones might break my bones, but words can never hurt me kind of thing.
Well,
That.
yeah, I have heard that, sure, when I was a kid. But words hurt people more than anything. Why? Because they say them to themselves. Like I could call you a potato. It's not going to upset you unless you go, "Oh, I'm a potato and I shouldn't be a potato and now I'm a potato," and then you start talking to yourself about that. So it really isn't what people say. It's what you say. And what you were saying was, I'm going to be this old woman and I'm not going to be able to move. And that's what impacts you. It's not the pain. I mean, the pain you can deal with, whatever's happening right now in your body, you can deal with. But
Yeah.
the story isn't real. It's a real story, but it's not real like, whatever, this mouse, so you have no access to it except in language. So remember last time we talked about context and we said,
Yeah.
yeah, inside the context number, this is a one, inside the context body part, it's a finger. Contexts live in language.
Yes. Yes.
So your access to transforming whatever it is you're dealing with is to transform the conversation, the context. So if you're inside of a context call, here's your pain, right? Whatever's going on in your back, this shouldn't be. Now you're screwed, excuse my French, because you're going to now just be relating to it like it shouldn't be. I got to fix it. I got to change it. I got to make it better. I got to, and now you're in a like a tizzy, so to speak,
No, that's a good word. That is a
Yeah,
good word. That
you're
is
in a tizzy.
that is what it felt like in that that day or whatever, however long that was, that is what it felt like. It was just like all of, this. And after that moment of time, when I was actually able to not even talk myself out of it, it was just sort
No.
of like when I kind of, it's like what my mom used to say, get a hold of yourself, right? My
Yeah.
mom would say, just get a hold of yourself. And it's like, of course, when you're younger, it's like I had no idea what she meant, right? At all. Like, what are you talking about? Get a hold of yourself. But like now I kind of get it. So sort of like, okay. So when I could really think about it, think my way through that whole thing, like I know better, right? I know differently. I could talk my way, even if it was in my mind, I could talk my way through that and say, different, you could use different language. And I could see that, like, okay, better, differently. You already know the things that you're doing, and yeah, all these things, right? So I got a hold of myself.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you talked yourself into a tizzy and out of a tizzy, which goes to the point that it all lives in language because nothing altered in what you were dealing with in the circumstances. The
Yeah.
only thing that altered is the conversation you were engaging with.
Yeah, and my husband is really good at this, and because he always says, he's really big on like the story I'm telling myself. He'll say that, and I've chuckled a couple of times since, because he uses this quite often. The story I'm telling myself is this, um, and I guess that's true, because we do tell ourselves stories, and sometimes
Mm-hmm.
it fits with the narrative that we want to create, story we want to tell, the scenario we want to exist, and whatever the situation is that we want to occur. So yeah, so this past couple of weeks I've been, yeah, I've set it up so that, yeah, I was able to be messed with. But I've and today was there was a situation where I was working with someone, and it was so funny because, like, you fall into it kind of quick, or at least I fell into it
No, people
quickly.
do. It's true.
I fell into it so quickly to where I was like, what, like I found myself in it. Like, we were having a discussion. You've been in a meeting where, like, the meeting was for one purpose, and then all of a sudden someone came in and, like, the meeting just sort of blew up. Like, the
Mm-hmm.
agenda just sort of
Goes to a
went out the window.
different direction.
This was that. We were supposed to be planning for a couple of months out, of for things that were upcoming, or supposed to be upcoming. And the one of the directors came in and had a totally different agenda, and just blew up this meeting. And at first it was just like, oh well, okay, because it wasn't that they were talking about things that weren't important. They were, but it just wasn't what this meeting was about. But we were like, okay, well, yeah, let's go with it. But then I'm looking like, y'all, we just let this person come in here and blow up this meeting. We just kind of rolled with it. But I'm sitting there, I'm like, no, this is not cool. This is
Well,
really.
but that goes back to so let me offer you this.
Mhm.
They didn't blow up the meeting. They just said whatever they said.
It's true. That's true.
They said what they said.
But we
And
allowed it.
well, whatever, but or you didn't say what you didn't say, and you didn't, I mean, you said what you said, you didn't
True.
say what you didn't say. All that happened is
True.
people talked in that meeting. That's all that happened.
True.
There was no blowing up.
Well, that's true. That's true. There wasn't any. That's true. That is true. Absolutely. I felt like there was an opportunity for us to do things differently.
Yeah,
We could have
redirect. You
been,
could.
yes, we could have been on task had we redirected. We
Yeah.
did. So I felt like I wasted a good hour of my time.
Yeah, but
my
then I
day.
would, if I were your coach, I'd be like, well, what stopped you from saying something? The minute you saw it was off track, what was the thing that messed with you that had you not say, I just want to interject and say, that this meeting was supposed to be this, and it's fine if we're going to now change the agenda of the meeting, but I just want to make sure we're going to handle what we need to handle if it's still appropriate.
Oh,
What had you not say that or something
oh,
like that?
that's a good question. I think I was curious. I think I was curious about what it was they were going to say, because this person has they have good ideas. And usually their ideas are kind of sort of these off the wall things, but
Mm-hmm.
they usually land on good fertile ground. So I think I was just curious enough to say, let me see where this is going. And so I was like, okay, well, let's do it. But at the same time, I was just like, this meeting was it was important for planning purposes. And when I should have said, or not should have,
Well, you
could
couldn't
have,
have again. You didn't say, and
I
what you can
didn't.
now see would have made a difference.
Yeah. So I didn't.
Yeah, but that's fine. I mean, then in the next meeting, you can, if something like that ever happens again, what do you see that you could act differently?
Well, what I want to do, because we have a meeting, so what did happen is that we planned another meeting that's happening in another hour or so. Um,
To handle what you didn't handle on the first call. Totally.
yes. So it's kind of working itself out. But
Yeah.
I
But it would be useful to give up the whole they blew up the meeting thing because now they're wrong and you're justified.
no, that's true.
And that's not a great environment to work in.
Well, that's true too. So yeah, changing that narrative is helpful.
Yeah, it's like that's what happened. I did what I did. I didn't do what I didn't do. They did what they did. They didn't do what they didn't do. And now we have the next meeting.
Now
There's,
we
there's no more drama than that. I mean, at least there's the drama is optional.
well, you love a good drama then every now and then though.
That's what novellas are for.
That's true. Well, okay. So, how was the move?
Amazing. We've been here now almost 3 weeks. Is it 3 weeks? 3 weeks on Tuesday, we will have landed. And it's still not real. It's still like we're walking around every morning in Paris and, going to the Bastille and going to Saint-Germain and having croissants. I mean, I've got to stop eating all this bread, but I'm doing hot yoga. I never did that before. I mean, and then I start work at about 2 o'clock in the afternoon and, do my calls and my coaching and all that and lead my programs. And then at about 9:30, 10, my husband will make me dinner. He's at the gym at the jiu-jitsu place. I mean, it's a real lifestyle shift. And I realized today, it was really interesting. I looked at him and I said, do you know that in 27 years, we have not spent this much time together alone?
Wow.
Because we have 3 kids and we started having kids 27 years ago. And I was like, oh my God, we have never spent 3 weeks together since we had kids by ourselves.
And
It's awesome. I was like, I think I still like you.
I was getting
He's
ready to say,
like,
you still like him?
I was
Yes.
like, I would choose you again, and it's our anniversary of meeting in a couple of days, 29
Oh,
years ago. Yeah, so
I
it's kind of
love
like
that for you. I
it's
do.
just really awesome.
So this is a lifestyle and all the ways that matter, lifestyle shift. What are some things that are you looking forward to doing, or that you think you want to do now that you're here?
Well, the hot yoga is definitely something I planned on doing once we started here, once we moved here. So that I'm going to continue doing. I really like it. I mean, the first day was horrible. It was like torture. I was like, well, who does this? This is insane. But I did an hour and a half class and I didn't realize it was an hour and a half. I thought it was 45 minutes. So I'm in the class and about halfway through, I'm like, I'm so proud of myself. Like I made it through this whole class. I'm dripping sweat, like bright red. And then the class keeps going and going and going. I was like, when is this thing over? It was an hour and a half. I was like, okay, no. I better look at the schedule and make sure I'm in hour classes. But I
Mhm.
really like it. So I'm going to keep doing that. We're going to travel around. Like this weekend, we're going to Giverny to see Monet's gardens. And we're going to go next weekend to Bordeaux because we're close to a lot of things. So we're going to do as much traveling as we can while we're here. And really we go to the market. We have an outdoor market right across the street. So we buy fresh fish and fresh meats and vegetables and fruit, and we're eating so healthy. And so I'm looking forward to doing that and walking every day and just exploring I mean, I've been coming here for 40 years, but every day we explore and find something new. So it's really lovely. It's like but it's kind of like not real. Like, do we actually live here now? We bought flowers. We're like walking down the market. He goes, this is your market. You live here now. And I was like, oh, do we though? Do
But
we
isn't that,
really?
but don't you think that's life though sometimes, where you kind of, how often do we take the time to sort of rediscover or discover?
Mm-hmm.
So now you have the opportunity to do a thing that you've not done. And now you get to rediscover your husband.
Yeah, it's really great. He's pretty great. And he's taking 6 months off. So, but he's taking such good care of me. And he's just like, what do you need for this? And what do you need for make sure I have water for my interviews or, whatever. My coaching sessions makes me snacks. He's like making me salami and cheese platters with little cornichons. I was like, okay, first of all, I got to stop eating like this. But, but it's actually really healthy eating. Even, I mean, salami and cheese doesn't sound very healthy, but it's
Right.
it's not all the chemicals like in the States.
Mhm. Right, but that's good though. So I love this for you for so many reasons. I think that it shows, for especially if people who follow you, but for those of us who get a chance to get to know you and to talk to you, it just shows what could be. And so thank you for being just an example for the rest of us.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. Listen, don't wait. Whatever your dreams are, don't wait. I mean, I'm glad I'm doing it now. We saw this couple that was like 25 years older than us and kind of limping around, like by the train station. And Michael said, that could have been us if we had waited.
Right.
And, we're young enough to enjoy it and to be able to walk around everywhere, however many thousands of steps a day. So anything you dream to do, get in action on it. There's no reason that's real. There's
Yeah.
only you're in your head, you got lots of reasons. But in reality, there's just whatever action has to happen to fulfill on it. You get the visa, find an apartment, you do, whatever the dream is that, people have. I mean, it might not be moving to France, obviously, but whatever it is.
No, it is so funny. So I made I think I told you about this. Did I tell you about this? Is that I made a dream journal. Did I tell you this?
I don't
Um,
remember. That sounds familiar though. I feel like
so,
maybe you did.
so and this is for the audience too. So you guys go check me out on Amazon. I have a dream journal. It's called The Dream Journal. Um, and I actually this is gonna be so telling. So I actually bought my own dream journal. I literally my own dream journal. I bought it because I felt like I needed to remind myself to dream again. And it was so good, because I had a friend of mine. So I went a friend of mine. So months ago, I went to a friend of mine's conference, and it was this all women's conference. Now, I've not been to an all women's conference ever in
Mm.
my life, and I've been to two in the past year, and I'm thankful and I'm grateful for them. The first one was such a healing process for me. that I knew that I needed to be there. The second one, I met this lady who I feel like she, everybody was like, oh, you're going to want to meet her. She's a prophet. And I was like, okay. I mean, my whole face was was not good, but my face was like, okay.
Ah,
Uh-huh. Yeah, all right. So she comes in because she was there to do a session with us on basically pretty much how to live your best life, right? All right. So I'm like, I'm game. I got my, got my notebook, I got my pens. Why in the session does she make a beeline for me? Like we're 10 minutes into this session. I guess maybe I had the skeptical face. Like, I don't know. But she makes a beeline to me and starts to prophesy over me.
mm,
And I was, you should have seen my face. My face was like, what is happening?
what is going on?
But what she was saying was like, it was amazing, and I had to have this in the moment kind of come to Jesus moment. Like, okay,
Yeah.
Tasha,
Hmm.
you can choose to, reject this moment, or you can choose to, sort of let this wash over you and see. And she basically said, you're a woman of influence, and you whatever you dream will come into being. But you have to give yourself a chance to dream. And then
Wow.
she said, keep a notebook by your bed.
I love it.
I've never done that. So, and then she walked away and she went, she went and did some other stuff. And then she came back like 30 minutes later. She came back and she grabbed my hand, and then she told me a few other things. And I was like, okay, like what, so it took me a minute to sort of like what
Absorb.
yeah. But I went home. So went home, and and at first I was like keeping all of these notes because it seemed like after that, like I would wake up in the middle of the night and be like, oh my goodness, like let me write all this stuff down. So I had these notes in my phone, and I was like, I don't know what any of these things mean, right? It would just be a random thought, and then something would say, write this down. So I have all these notes, like one sentence notes,
And what did you do with them?
so bought the dream journal, and I'm like, okay, I don't know exactly what all of these mean, but I know it's leading me to a place. So I bought the dream journal, and in the dream journal, the way it's set up, it's like it's however you dream. So it has pages for like if you like to draw pictures, or if you're a writer, or if you're like, you like to do bullets, like there's people who, do it however you do it, there's a place for you to do it. And so I'm a writer, but I also like to draw pictures, like,
Uh,
mind map kind of thing, all of those. So I started putting, like pulling them out of my phone and putting them in there. And I'm like, I think this is a class. I don't know what but so I'm still working it out, but I was so shocked. I was so shocked. So that's what I'm working on.
I think that's great. I'm sending you in the chat this dream dictionary resource. And this particular page has to do with crows. You don't have to go there, but just go to the main part. One of my clients had a dream about a crow, and she sent me this thing, and I was like thinking about you as you were talking. I was like, oh, if you want to know what certain things mean, at least the likely story of what they mean, there's
Yeah.
a whole dictionary of stuff.
It was nice. It was very, very nice. And it's actually really nice to be in this space where I'm creating, like you were saying,
Yeah.
because I have not been in this space in such a long time,
Mm,
that it's really nice to be in a space where I'm not in defense mode,
very good. That's great.
where even though, of course I still have moments, but I feel like I'm in a space where even if I am in a defense mode, I'm learning how to catch myself.
Good for you. That's great.
So, um, And is there something that you have learned or can tell the audience, like when you are in those modes, right? When you're in a mode of like being on the defensive, or you're in a place where you're not creative, or you're feeling like you want to be creative. How do you get from one to the other, from one place to the other? Or is there
Well,
a place where you can, how do you do it? Is there
well,
one
the first
sort of,
step is to be aware. You've got to know what your triggers are, what your red flags are. It's like, oh, when I start overthinking, or oh, when I start engaging in negative self-talk, or oh, when my chest gets tight, or my neck gets hot, or whatever it is. You got to know what your red flags are to determine that you're in that world so that you can catch it before you get too far down in there. So, overthinking is a big thing for people. Like they start questioning themselves, like, should I, shouldn't I, shouldn't I? That's a sign you're in that world or on your way there very quickly. So once you see it, you can kind of, it sounds a little woo woo, and I'm not a woo woo person, but like if you can kind of just go like this and have it be separate from you. So, okay, my overthinking, my I'll do it later, my whatever messes with you, right? So there it is. Okay, now let me look in this direction. This is over here. It's not going anywhere. It's not like it's going to go away. You're not going to lose
right,
it.
right.
But here I'm now looking in this direction and there's nothing here. Okay, well, if there's nothing here, nothing begs for creation,
Mm,
like an empty canvas.
love that.
Here's your emptiness, your nothingness. Most people hate nothing because they have to fill it with something, right?
Mhm,
And unfortunately, this muscle is very strong. So what gets filled is from this world mostly.
mhm,
So if you are standing in front of nothing, you can ask, okay, what's my vision? What am I creating in this relationship? What am I like at work with this meeting that you had? What is my vision for my relationship with these people or this person who blew up the meeting? It's like, what is my vision? I want to be in partnership. I want to be, in full communication. I want, whatever it is. And then you can act from that space of creation versus the space of reaction or defensiveness, as you called it.
right, right. The other thing is that I realized, so we had a new person start at work, and and she is she is 20 years younger than me. And so I literally had this whole thought of, like, she's young, she's energetic, she comes in with all of these new ideas,
Oh, how
and,
annoying.
and I like, right, and like, like all the things. And then we've had these series of meetings, and she made these comments where, I have a doctorate, and my counterpart has a doctorate, and there's somebody else. So she's kind of made these comments where it was I don't want to say it was weird. It was just sort of like I didn't know how to take it. And it wasn't derogatory, but it was like, well, I'm not an engineer, or I'm not a doctor, or I'm not a, or I'm not
Mm.
a thing. And so I've kind of like, I looked at her, and I didn't say anything. And then, the rest of us were looking at it, like each other, like, are you going to say something? And I go downstairs and I say something to my husband. I was like, should I say something? Because I was like, at first it was, I don't, I said, I don't want her to feel uncomfortable, because she is in this, she's in a group of people where most of us either we have a STEM background, we have a master's degree, we have a doctorate, some combination of all of those
Mm-hmm.
things, right? And she doesn't have any of those things, right? But I said, but the very fact that she's in the room should mean something, right? Or, like, you're in the room. Okay. And I said, so I don't want her to feel intimidated, and I said, and I don't know what her feeling is, but the fact that she keeps bringing these up, like, this is like 3 or 4 conversations, and some variation of, well, I don't have a doctorate, and I don't have, I'm not an engineer, or I'm not a blah blah blah, has come up in her conversations, says something. And I was like, but he was like, maybe it's unconscious, maybe it's something, it's like, so I was like, I don't want to should I bring attention to it or not?
Well, I wouldn't because she isn't a doctor and she isn't an engineer. So what's the big deal? She's just saying what's so. It's like I have brown hair. I'm not a doctorate, you know. There are red flowers on my terrace and I don't have a degree of whatever. Yeah. So what's the big deal?
Because the way in which it said in a way that is kind of, it's not said in a good way towards
In what
herself.
way?
It's not, it's towards herself. It's like, well, so in one sentence she was saying, well, I know I don't have a doctorate, but at least I know this, right? It was like one of those things. We were all like, well, why would it was almost like, well, why was that important to say?
But who cares?
She
What's the
does.
concern? Well, okay, but so what are you going to fix her? She's fine. She's in the room. She's having the conversation. That's her consideration. And sometimes when you say your consideration, it moves out of the way. A
Okay,
lot of people use that as, it's like, listen, I'm trying to think of an example in my own life, but it's kind of like, no, I say it all the time because people talk to me about mental health stuff. I'm not a doctor, but I can coach you in the ontology of something, but not the psychology of something,
got
you
it.
know?
I'm good.
Yeah, right?
Okay, good. I'm good. So this is because I said at first I was like, well, should we say something? And then I was like, nope. Well, my thing was like, nope. If there's a problem,
I mean, unless she's just not participating and you think that she's got some concern that's stopping her from participating in the conversation, then I would have a conversation with her. I know you said this thing a couple of times. I just wanted to find out, is there some concern you have? Because, you got a seat at the table for a reason.
see,
So
that was my whole point. But I just didn't, that was my thought. But I was like, well, maybe there's something else. But I was like, I don't want to make a thing that's not a thing.
exactly, so you'd either have to get to know or get in her world and find out if there's a thing. But if she's participating in the conversation, it's accurate. She doesn't have a doctorate.
Well, that's true. So,
I
okay.
mean, and you worked hard to get your doctorate. And she doesn't know everything you know, and that's accurate. And that's okay. And
Okay.
like I had a so silly, but it's very similar in a weird way. I had a run in my stocking when I was like wearing a dress, leading a course, and my attention was on the run in my stocking. Like I knew people were like looking at me in the front of the room. So the first thing I said is like, I know I have a run in my stocking. So I just want to let you know I am aware of it. And then it was like gone and I could just, have the conversation that I was going to have. But instead of like walking weird and trying to hide the run and, like, it's like sometimes
I've
just say
done the
what's there.
same thing. I've done the same thing. It's just like, listen, I see the rip. I see the
Yes,
stain.
exactly.
Okay. Yes.
I
So,
mean, you'll love
okay.
one time I had a bloody nose the whole night. I was literally pouring blood out of my nose, leading a course, and I couldn't like leave. I mean, I was like, so I had tissues stuck up. I was like, and people are coming in the room. I'm like, you missed the first 10 minutes, but I have a bloody nose. Okay, everybody relax, include it. Okay, and I'm coaching people with like changing the tissue, blood pouring out of my nose. It's like a broken blood vessel in my nose. It's like absurd, but whatever it takes.
It is what it is, right?
Exactly.
Okay. So, question I have two last questions. So, I heard this the other day, and I did a quick TikTok about it today. So, it is, and my husband does this too. It's, what do you need? And it's three things: to be helped, heard, or hugged. Which of those?
Me?
Yes.
Helped?
Heard or hugged?
Or probably hugged.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's hugged. I'm
Yeah.
heard all day long. It's like I wish people would stop listening to me sometimes, It's like
I feel like I'm going to incorporate that somewhere, in what
good.
it is I'm doing, lately. I think, yeah, because I know that for me it's always going to, I feel like I want to be heard more than anything.
Well, you have a podcast. That's an opportunity to be heard. You've created that opportunity.
True, true. But yeah, so that's been my thing. I want to be heard. And but a good hug never.
Never hurts, right?
Mhm. So, okay, so last question is, if you could travel back through time and talk to your younger self, what advice would you give her and why?
Don't wear heels. I know this is, stemming in stilettos, but that would be the first thing I would say. Don't
Don't
wear
wear
heels.
heels. Okay. Okay.
Moisturize and
Mm-hmm.
stretch. Those are the three
No.
things I would say.
Why stretch?
Well, because if you don't stretch, you get tight and your back hurts and look at your back, right? So it's
Mm.
if you stretch, and I mean, I wish I did when I was younger. I didn't. And I have all sorts of back problems, leg problems. I mean, yoga is like a joke. I can barely like bend. I can't touch my toes. It's not even in sight. So maybe by the end of the year, I'll be able to. But stretching is super important and moisturizing is super important, which I never ever did.
Well, it's a part. I mean, it's a part of the daily life. We moisturize.
Yes, do you? Yeah, not
Yes.
me. Yeah, I
I
I
mean, we have
wish.
lotion. Is,
Ah, you got lotion right there. See, I
is
have lipstick, you have lotion.
yeah. I love that. So, okay, got it. Got it. I've enjoyed my time with you, and
Always great to talk to you.
I'm going to be emailing you because I'm feeling like I need a course. I need a coach. I need a something. Because yeah, I'm going to really adopt. I've adopted you, and you just don't know it yet.
No, do you know that I'm adopted?
Yeah. No, well, you didn't tell me that.
I'm adopted, so is my husband. So adoption is my space. So there you go. You can adopt me too. I've been
Okay.
adopted before. I can be adopted again.
Well, you are adopted, so
Yeah,
there it is.
deal.
Okay, well, good. All right, you guys. So this concludes today's episode of Stimming and Stilettos, and I hope that you gained. Well, I know that you gained some valuable knowledge today. And as I end today's episode, as always, I want you guys to keep yourselves safe.